Ultamize. One thing I want to explain right now, before we go any further, is why most people never create lasting change in this area of their life. And it's not because they're lazy, it's not because they're stupid, and it's usually not because they lack information. Most people already know they should put their phone down at dinner. Most people already know they shouldn't blast their speakerphone in a crowded waiting room. Most people already know they should be more present, more attentive, more considerate of the people around them. They know. The problem isn't information. The problem is reinforcement. After decades working in personal development and communications training, I become convinced that most books, seminars, experts, trainers, and gurus make one gigantic mistake. They assume that if somebody hears a great idea one time, their behavior will permanently change. But think about the companies and technologies that actually shape human behavior every single day. McDonald's doesn't advertise one time and hope you remember them. Coca-Cola doesn't run one commercial every 10 years. Netflix doesn't politely wait for you to decide whether to watch another episode. It instantly starts the next one. Amazon constantly recommends, nudges you into more products. Your phone constantly sends notifications, sometimes hundreds a day. Social media apps constantly trigger you to come back. Even your car shapes your behavior. I remember back in 1970, lots of people who cared about safety still didn't wear seat belts that often. Today, your car goes bing, 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 practically screams at you until you put the seatbelt on. That's not education. That's reinforcement. That's reminders. That's behavior architecture. And that's one of the huge ideas behind Ultimize. I'm not saying information doesn't matter. Of course it matters, but information by itself rarely creates lasting change. That's why throughout this, you'll notice repeated ideas, reminders, reinforcement resets, distilled concepts, and short, repeatable exercises. That's intentional because real change usually doesn't happen from hearing something one time or going to one workshop or one seminar. It happens from repeated exposure over time. The personal development industry spends enormous energy creating more information. Meanwhile, the world spends more than $1 trillion a year on systems designed specifically to shape attention and behavior every single day. Advertising. Ultimize is built around the idea that those same reinforcement principles can be used ethically and intentionally to help improve your life instead of simply capturing your attention. So, not manipulation, not addiction, not mindless scrolling, but repeated reinforcement of the behaviors, attitudes, and habits you actually want more of in your life. So, as you continue through our time together, especially when you encounter the reset sections later on, understand something important. Those sections are not filler, they are part of the strategy because the goal isn't simply for you to understand these ideas intellectually today. The goal is for these ideas about how your daily behavior habits affect every relationship, every room, and every interaction in your life to slowly become automatic in your real everyday life in the weeks, months, and years from now.